Patriarchy is a term that I'm sure many of you are already familiar with, at least in lay terms. So in general, it refers to a system of rule by the father, or a system of male domination and female subordination. However, in social theory, the term has a more complicated significance. We can see, based on the image on the right, that it is a hierarchical system based on male authority, which starts either from a divine god or the government, which then invests authority in individual men as the head of each household. As we can see here, it was a system that regulated women and children as subordinates and offered women authority only in the domestic sphere, not in public life. In this way, patriarchy, according to feminist theory, was encoded in the structure of society, including its institutions, including the law and criminal justice system, as well as in individual households and individual relationships. So in this way, we can say that patriarchy consisted of two key elements, a structure and an ideology or a set of ideas. So structurally, as we can see in the image, patriarchy consists of a social arrangement that creates a hierarchical social order in which men have more power and more prestige than women. The ideology of patriarchy provides a political and social rationale for itself. For example, under the structural conditions of patriarchal gender inequality, economic and social structures like work might be arranged in ways that exclude women from full participation in the public sphere of employment, politics, and civil life, and instead require them to perform the unpaid domestic labour in the private sphere of the family home, such as caring for children or homemaking. While these roles are important, under a system of structural gender inequality, this work might be seen as less socially valued and thereby rendered as women's work, which is seen as subordinate to men's work. Furthermore, under the ideology of patriarchy, rather than being seen as problematic, women and men may come to instead believe that this division of labour is normal and reflects men's and women's natural aptitudes and desires. In the sphere of feminist criminology, it has been further argued that under these conditions of both social structure and ideology, which enforce the subordination of women, many men may feel justified in using violence, coercion, or force against women, and many women may accept this as natural or normal behaviour. So based on this work, it has been generally noted that we can say that the criminalisation process itself can sometimes be heavily laden with patriarchal assumptions that reinforce and reproduce these forms of structures. Sexist and patriarchal assumptions can also determine how offending behaviour is constructed and how victims are portrayed and treated. In general, it's been argued that women are therefore treated differently in the criminal justice system in accordance with these traditional expectations of appropriate femininity within this system. We can see many of these assumptions playing out in the work of Chesney Lind, who we examined before. So she found that due to this structured system of patriarchy in early American society, that women and girls were much more trapped in the domestic sphere and therefore much more vulnerable to abuse. When they tried to escape this abuse by, for example, running away from home or engaging in behaviours to cope with this abuse, the criminal justice system defined these coping mechanisms as illegal. So finally, because of the harsh punishment that these girls received from the criminal justice system, it was argued that the criminal justice system itself was a tool of social control, or it was another mechanism of patriarchal authority.